So as a youth minister, it's really tempting and easy to fall into compartmentalized ministry, really focusing on the youth and letting the rest of the church focus on the rest of the church. I mean, it's always been the idea that I'll reach the youth first, and then if I'm able to, reach their families from there. From this class, I've really understood and learned this idea that you need to be family focused, trying to reach the whole family and encouraging the parents to disciple their children, and then branching out from that in youth ministry and developing children further as an assistant to the parents instead of a replacement. And it's probably something I've always known in theory, but nothing I've put into practice or really understood how to do. And I'm really excited to try to implement some of that stuff into my youth ministry and future ministry.
I think for me that the heart connection really reaffirmed the need that we have to build relationships with people, uh, with my children, with my grandchildren, with the people in church that I serve. The heart connection is what's going to bring change in people's lives, change in people's hearts. When we make that heart connection and we can grow with each other and we can share God's word and God's truth, and people are willing to listen and they're willing to make that change. And even hopefully one day our kids will claim our faith as their own through that heart connection. And to me, that's something that I'm going to take with this class for the rest of my ministry.
So for me, growing up and not in a Christian home, not really having that understanding of what the biblical mandate was for parents and raising your children, really that Deuteronomy 6 mandate, and even once I got saved and once I got in a church, really not understanding and not hearing from the church this idea of the biblical mandate and the biblical mission of family and what the family really was, what to me was hugely enlightening and foundational. Unfortunately, all three of mine are grown, but I feel like the Lord is going to give me the opportunity to pour into the life of my grandchildren, at least the one that I have today. And so I'm going to take every opportunity for my son-in-laws and future daughter-in-law, hopefully, and grandchildren to really use this missional idea of family to bring us together and bring each of them either to the Lord or farther along in the Lord, if that case may be.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that idea of parents being the primary discipler of their kids has been one of the biggest things that stood out to me during this class. And I just really appreciate that idea because working with college ministry, we're often discipling college students and pouring so much time and energy into building heart connections with them so that we can see life transformation happen, and so that they then understand the love of God more deeply in their lives. And we put so much time and effort into figuring out how to disciple them well over all the course of, or over all the years of their college career. So I think translating that idea to parenthood has been really helpful for me, and it's given me such a big vision for what it looks like to be a parent discipling their children, especially since I didn't really see that modeled that much. And just really excited. Froze. Let's see.
Hey, Lauren, you kind of cut out for a little bit there.
There we go. Okay. Is it working now?
Matt, did you catch that last part from her?
Sorry about that. Hopefully it's working now.
It is now.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think that idea of discipling being primarily the job of parents in the home and then the church partnering with parents has been really impactful. And the idea of heart connections, like Chris mentioned, I think is huge for making that happen effectively.
Well, thank you, Lauren. I want to start off by saying what a great experience it's been to share time with you guys once a week in the evening. I found it truly as an opportunity to really reflect throughout the week on some of the stuff that we're learning here. And thank you, Matt, too, for facilitating all this. You did a fantastic job. There was so much that stood out to me, but alas, we are called to think of one thing. And one of the things that really resonated with me, probably because about some of the things I'm going through or that I experience, really relate or resonated back to John 15:4, when Jesus tells us to abide in him and I in you. And the premise that he gives is that we can't do anything apart from him. And there's a quote that Dr. Tim Kimmel in the book Connecting Church and Home, his quote was, most man-made ecclesiastical movements are short-lived. And it goes back to that premise of John 15:4. It really stuck in my head that we really need to make sure that whatever we're doing to advance the kingdom is not our kingdom, it's his kingdom. And it's his viewpoint, and it's to glorify God in everything that we do. And of course that's hard. But I think it's things like that when we remember that Jesus is telling us, look, I'm in you. You just got to abide in me. And that's the hard part. But that was one thing that I guess this week that really stood out to me.